as a person, who I am has probably always been pretty consistent. I like to think of myself as being a good person. I think what changed for me was my comfort level in speaking out against it. I felt really like this small grain of sand in this massive ocean, because I grew up in New Jersey. I was from New Jersey, went to school, and so I was commuting into the city. I really didn't know anybody. It was a very male-dominated industry, and I was trying to make a name for myself and trying to build a reputation. And at that time, being so young and immature, I just didn't really know who to talk to or what to do. If I saw something being done, or if somebody was cooking the books or someone was doing something that was wrong, who would I go to, especially when this is happening at the highest level? So I think the biggest change for me, now that I'm a little bit more sort of secure in myself and feel comfortable and have a support system around me, I know it's not the end of the world if I speak up and I get fired. It's not the end of the world now. I think back then, being my late teens, early 20s, it felt like it was the end of the world. Would I ever get another job? Would anyone ever want to hire me again? As a female in the male-dominated industry, I really had to undergo and just deal with a lot of sexism and a lot of leaders that were not supportive and were almost counterproductive to me being successful, because I was a woman and because I was a mom. And it's really unfortunate. I remember leaving a job and taking another job. And when I left the original job, you have to have an exit interview. And I remember my leader sitting down with me and saying, well, why are you leaving? And I said, well, look, I really appreciate all of the support and the experience I had here, but I'm taking this job because it was a promotion. I do want to grow, and it's been a little stagnant here. I really haven't had the growth that I was looking for. And I remember he looked at me and he said, Natalie, you're the one who decided to have kids. And because you decided to get married and have kids, you're not going to be getting the types of promotions that you want. And I kind of looked at him and I said, did he just say this? So the more, we talked for a little bit, and he basically said that because I had taken a maternity leave for 3 months, that he was going to penalize me. And because I had a family, he wasn't going to promote me. And he felt comfortable telling me this because I had already quit. And because I was staying in the same industry, he knew I wouldn't say anything. He knew I was sort of the good model employee that wasn't going to say anything. And I didn't. But it taught me a lesson. It taught me that when these types of things happen, that I have to feel empowered to do something. I have to feel empowered to make a change. And I think that from that point on, whenever I had sort of any sign or signal that someone was treating me in a way that was just unethical or unfair, I never hesitated to go to HR at that point, or sit down and just have the hard conversation. This is someone who actually admitted to me what he was doing, but there's a lot of times when people don't. So I think just challenging the status quo and fighting for sort of equality and honesty and ethics and being treated fair in the workplace is something that's important to me. But it was just sad. I think I was a little naive. I think for me that was another moment where I just realized, wow, the world isn't as sugar-coated and friendly and nice as I thought it was. For me, the thing that I think about that made the biggest change in my life, my lifestyle, my trajectory, was making the decision to have kids. Because now there's not only someone else that you're responsible for, but there's someone else that you are responsible for setting a good example as well. So that changed a lot for me. I think also seeing some of my friends and family deal with death in their families changed a lot, because you come out and not being exposed to that, not having anyone very close to me be very sick or die. When I was in college, I think you think you're invincible, you think you're immortal, and that's just not the case. So I think when you start to see these things happen, you realize that life is short and you have to make the most of every moment, and you really have to live life to the fullest.